Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news, and we're going to begin in China as President of Venezuela Nicolás Maduro met on Sunday in the city of Shanghai with the Secretary of the Shanghai Municipal Party Committee and member of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party, Shen Jinan. The meeting is part of the working tour of the Venezuelan president. The purpose of the visit is to strengthen the strategic alliances in economic and technological matters between Venezuela and China. The president of Venezuela described the meeting as positive while emphasizing the deep brotherhood between China and Venezuela and the willingness to enhance friendly exchanges for the prosperity of the two peoples with a view to building a new world based on equality and respect. The Venezuelan head of state visited the Xiangjiang Artificial Intelligence Island Experimental Center as part of his official visit to the Republic of China. The Venezuelan head of state was welcomed by the General Director of the Technology Center, Li Rufel, together with members of the Executive Cabinet. During the tour, President Maduro learned about the use of technology in land traffic control regulations, the operation of the virtual classroom, and the latest technological breakthroughs. The Xiangjiang Emporium is focused on technological strengthening and the materialization of abstract ideas on artificial intelligence in favor of the renewal of the industry. And in compliance with his work agenda in China, the President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, also visited the headquarters of the BRICS Bank in Shanghai. The bank's president, Dilma Rousseff, was in charge of the welcoming ceremony. During the day, the parties held an extended meeting, which was also attended by Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. Maduro supports the creation of a new financial architecture that allows transactions with national currencies and new forms of financing for development of the Global South countries. In the Caribbean, the word conuco comes from indigenous languages. They mean a small parcel of agricultural land. In today's history of Venezuela on the Move, we're going to learn about the canuqueras, a group of women in the Venezuelan state of Carabobo that found in communal agriculture the solutions to their families' hardships, sometimes with their bare hands. Today, they feed, nurture, and give a purpose to their community through self-sustained agriculture. Let's see about their history in the upcoming material.
Not even the burning sun or the difficulties that may arise can stop their work. They are known as conuqueras women and they are farmers.
I have been working here for 10 years for this community. Apart from that, I also study and work. Within the same agricultural zone, there are people like women who are seamstresses, housewives, who do other activities. We organize ourselves either in the morning or in the afternoon to have the possibility of doing all the activities.
Dulby takes care of some of the plots of land in the morning shift. Her son and her daughter-in-law live with her and sometimes help her in the fields.
I teach mathematics in a high school, a public high school. We are people with an enormous treasure, but more than that, of producing, of creating, of doing different things. There is something that we should always keep in mind, which is community, and we should never lose that.
Everything they grow is for their families and the community itself. To this day, they have produced 40,000 kilograms of food, cereals, fruits, and vegetables.
At first it was hard because we started with our hands, with just our hands. We started using spades and machetes to plant. Then we started to work with institutions. We contacted them and they came and they saw that what we were doing was a reality.
Now they receive training, they have instruments and they have been able to build a deep water well for irrigation. And the government has also given land titles to these organized women. In this town, conuqueras women serve and distribute the food house by house to more than 13,000 people.
Adriana Cibor y Jesús Romero, teleSUR Carabobo, Venezuela.
A reminder that you can find all our stories of Venezuela on the Move on YouTube and other platforms. Also, we invite you to join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news updates, and much more. We are going to be right back after a short break. Welcome back from the South. Elections in Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, and Lugansk concluded on Sunday. Territories recently incorporated into the Russian Federation. Authorities report an increase in the turnout rate. According to election officials, the turnout was reported to be between 54% and 74%. As detailed, 62.68% had voted in Kherson, 55.81% in Zaporizhia, 74% in Donetsk, and 65.16% in Lugansk. This Sunday is the last day and the main day of the local and regional elections. Mayor and assemblymen will be elected in the polls, who will then define the governor of each of the 4 regions. In Poland, the main political parties laid out their plans and policies they plan to introduce on different areas, squaring off with only weeks to go before the parliamentary election scheduled for October 15th. According to polls, the governing Right Law Win and Justice (PIS) party, in power since 2015, is said to remain the largest party after the vote. Most polls show PIS with more than 35% of the vote, while the Liberal Civic Coalition (KO grouping) has around 30%. PIS leader Jaroslaw Kaczynski unveiled the last priority policy of his party, allowing women to retire after 38 years of work, while men would be able to do so after 43 years. In turn, KO policies are said to include pay raises for teachers and other public sector workers, state funding for in vitro fertilization treatment, and raising the tax-free earnings limit. And on Saturday, thousands of climate change activists blocked a major motorway in The Hague in protest against Dutch fossil fuel subsidies, the latest high-profile action by the Extinction Rebellion group. Police deployed water cannon against some of the activists who have threatened a permanent blockade of the motorway. According to Extinction Rebellion, around 25,000 people turned out from across the country for the protests. The police made an unknown number of arrests. Among those held was Dutch actress Carice van Houten, best known for her role as Melisandre in the hit TV series Game of Thrones. The activists say the Dutch government hands around 37.5 billion euros annually in subsidies to fossil fuel industries. The governor of Morocco decreed a 3-day national mourning period after Friday's earthquake, which so far has killed 2,000 people and injured another 1,800. According to the decree issued by the Royal House, during the morning the flags will be hoisted at half-mast in all public buildings, and immediate attention will be given to the families that lost their homes. Food and medical assistance will be guaranteed to the survivors of the tragedy, to the families of the victims, and to the villages that, like those of the Oregon Valley, have been left cut out from the world and without electricity and telephone service.
Almost 31 persons died here. Yesterday we used all our effort to help and rescue people here. We did what we could, but for many other people we could not help them, so they stayed on the rubble. They could not breathe. We helped one person to let them breathe, but many other people died. We could not help them.
The government of China renewed a yellow alert for storms expected to affect the southern part of the country, which could increase the disaster situation in this region. According to the National Observatory, heavy rains are expected to fall in at least 7 regions of the Asian giant, which increases the complexity of the scenario left by the recent rainfall. In view of this, local governments are implementing traffic control measures on the most vulnerable stretches of roads. These regions are ready to disconnect at-risk outdoor power supplies, temporarily suspend outdoor operations, and relocate people in danger. We're going to take a final short break, but we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you will be able to see our news, special broadcastings, interviews, and much more. So click on the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the south. We go back to Chile. There are reports of clashes with carabineros in the activities prior to the commemorations of the 50th anniversary of President Salvador Allende's assassination. We welcome live our collaborator Alejandro Kirk with more details on what is going on today in Chile. Can you hear me, Alejandro? Alejandro, can you hear me? Can you hear us? We're seeing we are having some difficulties in getting in touch with our collaborator to bring us these details of what is going on today in Chile, of clashes, of the rallies that were parts of the celebrations that were being held ahead of the commemoration.
It's been a very difficult commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the coup that overthrew President Salvador Allende, who died as a martyr defending the constitution and democracy in the country. It has been difficult for many reasons, because one would have expected an opportunity for the country to unite behind the issues of human rights, democracy, participation. Instead, there has been a strong current of denial on the side of the right-wing parties, which are very powerful in this country, the media and the business sector, defending openly the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet. And now the march that commemorated this occasion, the anniversary is tomorrow, just took place, and that was also a controversial issue because the government, in trying to avoid turmoil, avoid problems and repression, divided the march, accepting some and rejecting others, and this became another source not only of controversy. I'm at the cemetery now. On my back, behind me is the list of people who were killed by the dictatorship, over 3,000, also the disappeared people, and people naturally come over to this place to render homage, to honor the fallen in this dictatorship. But the police shows up all the time. This has been a constant over the years. The police, the riot police, show up at the cemetery and they start gassing and throwing cannon water to the demonstrants and also to people who just come here to lay a couple of flowers to their loved ones or people who were killed by this dictatorship. So what was supposed to be a 50th anniversary on honoring Salvador Allende, honoring the Unidad Popular, the government that for 3 years experimented the democratic form of building socialism, became an issue of deep divide in the country. And the reason for this, in my interpretation, is that Chile never set a final solution to the problem of human rights. On the contrary, over the years after the end of the dictatorship, the violation of human rights has been attributed to persons, to individuals, and not to the institutions like the army who committed those crimes. And there was no Nuremberg tribunal in Chile, and therefore the wounds that were opened by the dictatorship are still open, and they will not be solved until people know where are the missing persons, where are the bodies, the people they kidnapped and killed, tortured in the most brutal way. And till now, there is a pact of silence by which the army, the armed forces, and the powers that be deny the relatives and the descendants of those who were killed the right to give honor their people, go to cemetery and know where their bodies are. They don't know, nobody knows where they are, and those who know are protected by violence, which has many accomplices.
Thank you, Kirk, for your inputs. We're going to stay on top of what's going on today in Chile, and we're going to keep providing updates of the situation in Chile in upcoming news brief. For now, we have come to the end of this broadcast. Remember, you can find this news and many more in our website at teleSUR English, and you can also join us on our social medias on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. For now, we say goodbye, and we'll be right back in upcoming news briefs.